Hello there, welcome to my channel. I'm Angela from artery.com. If you're a card maker or an artist, digital or otherwise, then choosing the right colour palette you might think is very important. And I came across these on YouTube. I saw these on YouTube somewhere, I can't remember when, it was a while ago. And I was really impressed. I honestly didn't want any more physical items, especially something this large. These are the colour cubes, volume 1 and volume 2 by Sarah Renee Clark. I think she started with a digital version, the colour catalogue, which was great. I mean, everybody raved about it apparently, but then they started asking for a physical version, something they could have to select colours for use with something other than digital. I have dabbled in digital art. I've used Procreate for the iPad, absolutely excellent drawing program. It's the best one out there in my mind. And I also use Affinity Designer, which is another really good program. And when you're creating digital art, it is handy to have the hex codes, which is what the colour catalogue gave you. But I think it was quite difficult for artists and whatnot to compare the colours in the colour catalogue with the colours that they want to use, because I think people just wanted to see them side by side. So then she came out with the Colour Cube Volume 1, this is Volume 2, and if you go to the website you can buy one or two, or you can buy both of them, or you can buy the full colour suite, including the colour catalogues as well, which I think is a really good bargain. So I just ordered these 2 days ago, and not only was it free delivery, but the delivery was really quick. I was very, very impressed. So I've been very excited for these to come. I don't know where I'm going to put them. I think I'm going to have to put them in my wardrobe with my clothes until I get my craft room sorted. But they're actually very easy to use. So I'll open one of them. They are actually very well packaged. And if you can see, it says open here. So that's what you do. You sort of lift that up. And then you get, this is the actual cube. I have already opened these and it took forever to get the plastic off because they are very well packaged. But this is lovely, isn't it? Take off the lid. Oops. And inside you have instructions. So this tells you what to do. So it tells you about the colour palette, how to match the colours, the hex codes for if you're designing digitally, and tints and shades. So if I'll just take out the first one. In fact, no, I think I'll just take out a random one because I've seen the first one on lots of YouTube videos. So we'll do something random if I can get it out. Now, if you look there, she gives you a beautiful picture, which are ethically sourced. So she hasn't stolen anybody's art. And what she's done is she's taken colours from the pictures that she's chosen, and you can see them at the bottom there. And sometimes I think if you're like me, you tend to gravitate towards the same types of colours or the same families of colours, and you would sometimes, there are some in here that I would never think to put together. So I think it's a really good way to broaden your palette, as it were. But if you turn it over, you see there are different tints and shades. So here you have the actual colour, burgundy, scarlet, French rose, apricot and copper in this case, but you also have the hex codes if you're creating digitally, and here it gives you the tints and the shades as well as the main colour. So even if you don't have the exact same colour, you could choose one that's just in that same family or just a shade or two away from it. So I don't have a plethora of inks. I have a mixture of dye inks, which I got from Stampin' Up. I have some Distress Oxides. That's about it. I don't have loads. So what I'm going to do is have a look around and see if I can find any that match this, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. And I have to admit that my ink pad collection is pitiful. I thought I had more, but obviously not. So what I've done is not stressed about it and picked out colours that I think are close enough, because honestly, when it comes to something like this, close enough is good enough as far as I'm concerned anyway. So the dried marigold I think matches or near enough the apricot. It's definitely not the same, but it's along the same family, I think. The aged mahogany, I think, is near enough to the burgundy. Candied apple almost matches the scarlet. And the gathered twig, I think, and it's good that the colours go right to the edge of the card as well, so you can sort of press it right against it. So there are 3 different sort of shades there, and like I say, that is good enough. So I think I couldn't find anything to match the French rose, so I just found that, the Calypso coral, and I know it's nowhere near. So the Stampin' Up, I use the Calypso coral for the French rose, the Cajun craze for the copper. That's literally all I had. I don't have any browns, I think. And the real red for the scarlet. Like I say, these are just approximations. The cherry cobbler for the burgundy. These are just the closest matches. So, and yeah, obviously the petal pink for the apricot. So these are all that I have. But like I said, do not fret. Getting them exact is not what this is about. Close enough is good enough. So sometimes you may come across a colour palette that you would never think to put together. This one, I think, is probably something you could come up with on your own, because the colours, you can tell that they do match anyway. But in this colour cube, there are combinations that you probably would never have thought of. And that's all this is for. It's to give you ideas, just to give you a general colour palette. So it doesn't matter whether your art is digital, whether you're using inks, paint, crayons, anything like that, colouring pencils, whatever you're using, you should be able to find something similar. So there are the ink pads that I have, and I am embarrassed about the amount that I have. I have showcased this before. I think it was a mixed media video that I did. So in here, just open it up. So not only do you get a ton of coloured pencils, you get, these are acrylic paints, some beautiful paint brushes, and on this side you get oil pastels and you get watercolour paints, and I just think it's great. And I think these would be fantastic just for choosing colours from any medium that you have. So if I wanted to use colouring pencils, right, let me have a look. So it doesn't matter what medium you choose, you should be able to match your colours if you have enough to choose from, which I obviously don't. So these are the close enough colours, and I think you can tell that they're going to match just by looking at them. So if I just take some scrap card and just start laying down the colour, it shouldn't matter which one I put next to which one, they should all go together. And they do, don't they? Yeah, they all complement each other beautifully. I don't know if you can see in this light, but they're absolutely gorgeous. And so if you wanted to have a really dark one, put a bit more colour into that one, and then a really light one, yep, that looks lovely. And another dark one. Yeah, so no matter which colour is next to which colour, they're all going to complement each other. So like I say, even if you can't get the exact shade to match the colour palette, then it's still going to work. Even if it's just a shade or two lighter or darker, it's still going to work. So it doesn't matter, like I say, whether you're a card maker and you're stuck for a colour palette, whether you work with digital art, whether you work with oil paints, watercolours. This is just, I think it's going to be absolutely invaluable, because I'm a very visual person and sometimes I do struggle with colour palettes, deciding which colours to use, because sometimes I've made cards and there's something off, doesn't quite work. And it turns out that I think it's going to be the colour palette that I've chosen. So look at that one. And they're all numbered as well, if you can see in the corner. They all have numbers, so you know exactly where they need to go back. So it doesn't matter that I'm just taking them out from anywhere. Oh, lovely. Nice autumn one there. I mean, those colours obviously go together because of the autumn season. See, perhaps you wouldn't think of putting a light blue with a, what is it, an auburn. So a light blue with an auburn, maybe you wouldn't put those together ordinarily. And look at this one, it's like a coffee. So maybe you wouldn't think about putting a green with a grey. That's a beautiful winter one. Very nice. See, I wouldn't have thought of that for winter. That is mustard. I would never have thought of putting that in a winter scene. But it works. Just the hat, but it works. And that one is gorgeous. So sometimes, so you've got your blues there, and you've got a one with a little bit of contrast, and it really works, as you can see. So for instance, if you picked out this and you didn't want to have all dark colours on your project, you could pick out another one, another random one, and try and make them work together. And then you've got your light colours and you have your dark colours. I think that's a really good idea. So the next time you're stuck for a colour palette, if you want to make something stylised, something not quite realistic, then just have a look through here and just see what there are. Right. I'm not going to go through all of these, I'm just picking out a few. But yeah, that's similar to the one I have now. So yeah, I think these are just amazing, and there are 2 boxes. If you don't know where to start, go to a website called random.org. You can randomly generate a number. So if you put in 1 and then 500, it'll generate a random number for you. So then you just go to the corresponding card, pick it out, and even if it's not something that you would normally feel comfortable with, the colour palette, never mind that. Just get creating using that colour palette. It is that simple. And it takes the pressure off trying to find the right colour palette if that's the kind of thing stresses you out, which it does to me. So I hope that has been helpful. It's certainly been helpful to me. I did have a little look at this earlier, and I am very impressed with it. And I do think I will be using this when I'm making cards and other things for family and friends. It would be really helpful to have a starting point, a colour palette, and then you can just work from there. So I hope this has been helpful. I thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye now.